Call the meeting to order.
Coffee?
Here.
Kelly?
Here.
McKinley?
Yes.
Testori?
Here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're now open for the public hearing
For
for the fiscal 2018-2019 budget. Do we have any public comments back there? No? Motion to
Motion to
close.
close the.
Second.
Call it?
Coffee?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
McKinley?
Yes.
Testori?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Do we have any public comments tonight? Section 1 will be the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second it.
Call it?
Kelly?
Yes.
McKinley?
Yes.
Testori?
Yes.
Coffee?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Section 2 will be the unfinished business.
Don't have any unfinished technical.
Next section 3 is going to be our new business, ordinance resolutions for initial consideration.
Move to approve ordinance 10-1004, an ordinance adopting the annual budget for the city of Farmer City for the fiscal year beginning May 1st, 2018 and ending April 30th, 2019.
Second it.
Discussion.
Okay, so I switched out some sheets for you so you have the most up-to-date numbers we're working on. We finally got all the March numbers. So now the projected, that's your next to last column on the right, is updated, a little bit more accurate to see what it's going to look like to end this fiscal year. And then of course, I use those numbers then to kind of determine, do we need to change anything or adjust anything for this coming budget. I really didn't see much in terms of revenue. I made a couple of very minor adjustments. It looked like our replacement tax and our sales tax went up a little bit more than I expected, but for example, the income I left the same because the state's still going to take $20,000 from us this year. So I left it where it was, even though it's higher than what we had budgeted for this year. So no major changes in the revenue, no major changes in the expenditures. Everything is pretty much still the same that was before you at the last meeting. Two things of note, though, I would like to let the public know, as well as the council, that we did have a structural engineer and the health department inspector come and look at the pool. The good news is we can fix it and be open this season. So it's a very minor fix in terms of some water did get down behind the wall, but it's just a small bulge. It's not like the entire wall, where we can break that off, replaster it, fix that gutter just right there, and be good to go for the season. And then you can decide, you can pass the budget as it is right now, and then decide. I would probably bring it back to you like around June, maybe early July at the latest, to decide, do we want to spend the money this fall and rehab everything? And then we can amend the budget doing that. So you don't have to make that decision tonight. But you're only putting it off for a month and a half, 2 months to make a decision. But at least this way you don't have to decide right this minute. We can fix the wall and be open for the season. So otherwise, there's no major changes. I did get the library's budget. They passed it at their board meeting last week. Nothing major there. She did express some concern. Apparently the new library director is big on getting grants, and she's applied for quite a few, and they were concerned about... Oh, you're here?
That's right.
I don't think, okay. I don't think we've actually formally met or talked, and they were concerned about their ability to, if they got a grant, would it be expressed in the budget and how would that affect things? And I'm going to address it in the appropriations because we can increase, as you know, the appropriations, and then that gives them wiggle room so that if they get more revenue, they can spend more money and still be within the limits. They can also amend their budget, but I advise them to talk to their general counsel because the Library Act is a little different than ours about, amending the budget. So, but with the appropriations, they'll still be fine. I don't think, I don't want to speak for them, but I don't think it's going to be so much that I think I'm going to give them double what they've budgeted in their appropriations. But other than that, MFT will be bringing forward on May 7th. But these numbers reflect the engineer's estimate at this point for one block of road under the maintenance program of MFT, not the construction, because that way we can get something done this year, rather than engineer it and wait another year. So I'll be bringing the resolution to spend the money, and you can then decide on the street, if everything's appropriate for you. But this part of the budget, then we know we're good to go. It's just tweaking that resolution with the IDOT. Otherwise, everything is pretty much the same. So again, to reiterate on the overall, if you look at the back of streets, it's its own sheet at the very back, is your beginning fund balance, your revenues or expenditures, whether it's over or under, and then the ending fund balance. It's 72,000 in the red. Why is that different? There's a couple things going on. One is, so it's streets, and then it's the last page on the streets before you get to audit. It's a single page with just a few numbers at the top. There, Willard found it. There it is. Okay. Why is 72 different than the 65 last time? There's two things. One is we adjusted, like I said, some revenue based on the projections from March that we got. And then also the codification that the clerk has been working on, because we're getting it sent now. That payment is now going to be coming out of next fiscal year because it's not, we won't be paying it by April 30th. So we've just moved that. It's in the fund balance. It wasn't spent this year, so it's going to be spent out of the next fiscal year. Otherwise, so that actually improves where we were at, which makes it 52 in the red. Again, those are strategic. That's out of the fund balance. It's not an operating. It's a one-time decision to, if you proceed this way, to buy a couple of those things like the chief's car, the MDTs in the police cars, those kinds of things that we went over last time. So you still have, I want to say, almost 100% fund balance, maybe like 85-90%, which is, GFOA looks for a minimum of 25 to 30% fund balance, so you're still in good shape.
Back on those streets, did we ever find anybody to take care of that house?
We have not. I was going to wait until the budget passed, and then we will go out for bid.
Okay.
One on
John Street?
Dodge.
Down John
Yes.
Street. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
The only other thing I don't know, I think you had asked at the last meeting to look at water and sewer revenues. There are two long spreadsheets in front of you, one is water, one is sewer. So I did analysis, several different scenarios. And the upper left of each page will tell you what the scenario is that I'm doing. So the top page of water, it says a 10% increase for this fiscal year and then 5% per year over the next 6 years. So if you do that, and then you maintain a similar expenditure. So this year, we're slated to spend $630,000 in water. So I kept it at 600 for the next 6 years. Then you can see where we'll be still in, 6 figures in the red every year until we run out of money in 2025. So if that gives you an idea of how we did this, so that you can see, okay, then what happens at the bottom of the next scenario. So the next scenario, the next page in water, you asked to look at 15%, and then I did 10% a year. At the bottom, you're still 3 or 6 figures in the red until 2025, where we're finally in the black. Then the next, I'm sorry.
That's assuming nothing else major comes up.
Correct. That is just spending about the same amount as this year, doing your annual water main replacement, well issues that may come up. It's spending about what we're spending now. The third scenario is a little steeper. I would not recommend this one, but I was curious to see what it would do. Is if you did 15% this year and then you doubled the rate in 3 years, so 33, 33, 33. You would get out, you are 6 figures in the red through 2020, but then you start seeing a positive in 2021 and moving forward. I don't think it needs to be that steep, so the final sheet is a 10%, which is what is in the budget right now, and then doubling of the rate of the next 4 years, so it would be 5 years total. You're still 6 figures on the red through 2021, then you're on the plus
Is that
side.
15% or 10?
10 in this last one. I'm
Mine
sorry,
says
you're right,
15.
this is wrong. You're right. It should
15%?
be- No, it's 10%. The last sheet
Okay, the last sheet should be
is 10%.
It says 15.
I know, the upper left is wrong, I missed that, I apologize. It's
Put 10 in
10%.
there.
It is correct in the middle of the sheet, if you look there.
Right.
Yeah.
So 10%, and then 25, 25, 25, 25. The furthest it drops down in the fund balance is 100% fund balance in 2021. But again, that's just maintaining the status quo this year moving forward. It's not any big major, like if we have to dig a new well, or, this is just maintaining.
I guess the other thing I would ask, as a consumer, I could take her house, I could take his house. You have kids, I don't. You can take my house too for a senior citizen and see how much it would raise that water bill right now.
Take a water bill and see what it would
Yeah, see
actually
what,
look like.
take one that it would be a family or something like that, and so you can get an idea of how much it's going to raise it. I think that's one thing people would ask, okay, 10%, but how much is that going to raise my water? It's going to go from $25 to $70 or,
Yeah.
and that's extreme, but
Mhm.
not that people don't pay those kind of bills around
Yeah.
in these small towns.
And sewer's the same way. Sewer's a little different because they're not doing as well. So I did the same scenarios. Again, you don't see positive black numbers until the last 2 sheets where you're really bumping up the rates. The last one, you dip all the way down to only 25% fund balance in 2021 and 22 before coming back up. Now this is even more striking because we're scheduled to spend almost $1 million in sewer this year. A lot of that is the NPDES IEPA work. I only projected 600,000 spending moving forward. So it's even worse if we have to spend more than that, from the IEPA or whatever may come up. So sewer's in worse shape. Now you could do different scenarios in terms of maybe increase sewer more and not water. It gets a little bit of a nightmare, I will tell you, on the administrative side, but it can be done.
It's the same end result for families, though.
No, it wouldn't be because you would have it would go up faster with sewer and not water. So, I mean, it would be the same overall for every home, but it's not just gonna flat out double. It's gonna, be different because it'll be escalating differently.
Let me ask you this question. if things were done properly around here in the last 10 years, I'd say 15 years, where roads were raised the way they should have been, we would still be reflecting the same amount and everything, let's say in a water bill. I'm phrasing that right. Let's just say 15 years ago it was $10. And you phase in you keep doing these increases and everything like you should and all that over the next 15 years. By the time we get to the end of 15 years or right now, our water bills would be, say, $40. Now, if we did this now, would our bills go up just to $40, or would they be more than that, or should they, if you weren't increasing it periodically all along, would we be in?
We might be in slightly better shape, but part of the problem is the money hasn't been spent on the collection system or the distribution system.
But
So
that's
you're not
true.
spending the money. So even if you were collecting it, you have to spend it. You have to invest it. That's the
Law
point.
says we have to spend it. We can't hoard it.
No, we
Well, the
can't.
purpose, you can, but the purpose of the rate, the purpose of charging
More money
service
is
is
to
to invest in the
to
system.
do things right.
Yeah.
To reinvest,
Yeah.
to fix problems. And
Yeah, I
So
hope
we
that
don't have
happens.
to spend $1
Sure.
million at a time like we
Right.
have.
No, not
So we don't-
legally,
we don't-
no.
We're not in
But let's say
trouble
you were doing this
by
all
the-
along, and spending like you're supposed to be and everything, and fixing things and keeping everything up to date and all that. Would you still have the same water bill or sewer bill that you have if what we're going to do now, if we do this now? You understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying. I don't know. I mean, it'd probably be pretty close. Because, I mean, if you're doing the CPI over the last couple of years has been like 2.5% for the last few years. So that's a little less than 5% a year.
You're pretty close though.
But it would be, yeah. I mean, if you've really been doing it for like 10 years.
So it should still be roughly about the same and everything. Because I think that's one thing I would ask, by it being let go for so long.
Yeah.
And as somebody sitting out there as a consumer and asking, if we did all these things we're supposed to be doing, would our rate still be the same? Because everybody's going to ask, well, you're going to raise my water bill. And I know that's a big thing whenever anybody in your position comes in. They've always told me, nobody looks at the water and sewer rates and said they get raised. And everybody starts raising hell about this. And
Right.
Water and sewer rates get raised. And it just, the city councils don't do this for various reasons. They don't want to take the heat.
Well, that's just it. And that's why I told you, I said this back in August.
Yeah.
I said, you guys are facing some difficult decisions because the predecessors haven't.
I knew we were going to get into this too because it hadn't been done for so long. I knew that these rates.
But
were
if we
happening.
do it like this, then 10 years down the road, it's going to be easier for the council that's
If you
years,
say
10 years down the road,
yeah.
if we actually use these increases to do projects around town and stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, well,
I mean,
that's
each
the other
year-
thing. I mean, think about it. We hear about it more, I think, at City Hall is like the water leaks that we have, or the sewer issues and the water quality. I would expect that if you start actually investing in your systems, that will go away.
It'll get
You're
better.
still going to have some occasional issues, but not this ongoing with the lead and the discoloration and the hydrants not working.
Well, that's true. We're living with a water system in this town that's over 100 years old,
Yeah.
and a lot of parts of it. Your street, my street, her street.
Well, the
Get-
drainage
get-
of the streets too, I mean, because that's going into combined sewer.
Sure.
This sounds like the same discussion you guys had when you raised the electric rate. They didn't raise it for so many years, and they bumped it up real fast, and then everybody was upset. But if there's a reason to raise it, then there's no reason not to raise it.
Well, I will tell you that you've spent an average of $30,000 a year
Yeah.
on
Not
a
very much.
multi-million-dollar project, or system.
System. Yeah.
Wow.
That's like nothing. That's
It's
a
just-
Band-Aid, and that's really what they've been doing, is
It's
you get
true.
a leak, they've been putting clamps over it. And we have lead service lines everywhere, we have these clamps everywhere that keep breaking, and
Well, with the water treatment plant, it just keeps loosening things up. And it has its good and its bad points, Everybody thought that's good. Personally, I don't think we should have done it. We should have got the iron out of the water, but as far as softening the water, I don't think so. Because you're going to keep
well,
loosening everything up.
this aeration that we just approved paying for at the sewer plant, they took it out to start fixing it, and the reason it it stopped working was because there were holes in the bottom of it that all the sand went down into because it was so brittle and rusted through because nobody had taken care of it.
Sure, because the water wore it out.
So they had to take the whole thing out, re-weld it, do way more work than they thought. And that's what we're facing,
Sure.
all everywhere.
Yeah, the water wore it out after you sprayed across it so much and everything. Was it, do you know if it's brass or is it copper or
I'm
iron?
not sure.
Doesn't make any difference.
So we can spread this out more, like you said, we don't even have to do 25-25. You want to do 20-20-20 or 10-10-10 for a while, but I'm just saying, beating this drum for almost a year now that unfortunately you're in the hot seat now because the IEPA is breathing down our neck and we need to start putting money back in.
I guess the point of my comment was I don't want to dwell on the failings of the past councils.
No.
If we need to raise the rate, we need to raise the rate.
Sure.
No,
That's-
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you
I'm not going
why
on
we
either
are
side.
where we
I need to
are.
raise the rate. I've known that for a long time.
Yeah. No, I'm not trying to make a statement on that. I'm just saying this is where we are today and we need to move forward, so.
It'd be nice if we could get it, get after it here in a few years where we're actually on the positive side.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then instead of replacing and maintaining our current, we can start replacing it.
Yeah,
Everything
I think we're
replace.
definitely on the right track doing what we're doing this year. We don't have to decide this big piece yet. I mean, I would like to try to get a decision in the next couple of months, but I can run a couple more scenarios. I can see what a bill would look like and bring it back.
And I think I'd like to see that myself.
Okay.
I would also.
That's where it's going to get real for the people is what it's going to do to their bill.
Yep. And, I don't know if anybody saw the article in the, I don't remember, I actually printed it out. It was a three-parter in the Sun-Times and Tribune where American Water's been buying municipal systems. But once it goes private, they're tripling, sometimes quadrupling rates because that's the real cost of doing business. And, politically, it's hard to, do
Fisher-
that. But
Fisher
at
just
least
did
we could maybe do baby steps, so.
Fisher just did that. They just
Sold out.
sold out their American Water.
But a lot of cities are facing it.
Sure.
Mine are gonna triple over the next few years themselves, so.
Well, they look at it, I know, because the expenditures that they have to take care of it, to have somebody that's licensed and everything do all this, and for one place like Fisher, I assume because it's growing pretty strongly and everything, so they have to do something pretty
Fisher's
much.
putting up a lot of houses.
A lot of houses.
So that's kind of, do you have any questions in the budget itself? Okay, good. Well, that's all I have, so I guess it's up to you to decide what you want to do.
Call it.
McKinley,
Yes.
Testori,
Yes.
Coffee,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
motion carried.
Section 4 is our other items, city manager's report.
Okay, the only thing I have is, I should have done this before, I don't know why, just right over my head, but, we had Area bring in a couple totes, we'll leave them here at City Hall. I think the postcards are due by the end of the week, but the small one is the 35 gallon, and the one with the orange lid is the 65 gallon. The 95 gallon is a little bit bigger than the orange one, so just so people go kind of trying to eyeball what these would look like and deciding what size they wanted. So we'll have these here at City Hall, probably for a while. So even if they want to change their mind later. So that's all I can think of.
So area needs us to call in and tell them what size tote it is they want. What size tote do
You don't have to call, you can send in the postcard.
Send postcard
You can call,
in.
or you can do it online.
Whether you want them or not, this needs to be done because you're getting a tote. So
Yes.
please take the time, fill out the postcard or make a phone call and decide what size tote you'd like.
Yes. That's all I have under my report for tonight.
Section 5 here.
I move we go into executive session, 5LCS 120/2C11, problem litigation.
Second it.
Testori,
Yes.
Coffee,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
McKinley. Motion carries.
But here now, back in open session. I move we adjourn the meeting.
I'll second it.
Call it?
Kelly,
Yes.
McKinley,
Yes.
Testori,
Yes.
Coffee.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Everybody have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.